Okay, so hello, my name is Stefan. I've been a part of the DKNOG community for the past, I don't know, 8, 10 years. Um, I've been wanting to do a presentation at DKNOG for a long time, but I haven't really found the right topic until today. And actually, Alan set me up to a perfect presentation because if you don't want to end up as a lone cowboy pushing your stuff, then the things I'm going to talk about is probably something that you might want to look into. In my abstract, I've said that I wanted to do a a ransomware demonstration. I'm not going to, because I looked at the audience and I thought that it would be funnier to do something else, something that you guys could relate to. But something about me. I have a background in networking. I've been in the networking industry for a long time as a technical lead, as an architect. And then I moved into security a couple of years ago, and then into management. And that's where I am right now. On the private side, I do a lot of stuff. I use all my technical knowledge to build fun gadgets. So the one that's blinking red and blue is actually something for Pavel, because that's a DDoS detection device. You could integrate it with your product. And then I do a bit of hacking on the side. I saw there was a couple of guys from UC here, so I thought I would put in a screenshot from when I did some stuff to UC. But that's probably, this is basically me. So I had to decide on topic, and the two first are really fun, but they are probably more something we can talk about on the social event later. And this topic, the explain it like I'm 5, how you talk to decision makers. I had a boss at one point that told me that he wasn't really sure how I did it, but I was one of the only people that never left his office empty-handed. And I think it's due to the way how I approach the decision makers. I make the technical stuff relatable for the decision makers. If you want to push quantum networking to a CFO, then you might want to not dumb it down, but make it like something he can relate to. And if you want to push network automation, you have to tell why it's important and why it will add value, because you can do more in less time and all that. This slide is basically my key takeaways for this talk, and I know it's the last talk before the social, so I'm going to make this quick. Decision makers often have a lot on their plate, and they work on another abstraction layer than us. They have other kinds of problems. They don't really go into the operational stuff that we deal with every day. So if you want to sell them something, it's a negotiation. And when you go into a negotiation, you should always be nice, right? Know your audience. I've been in a lot of meetings where I have people going in with saying, I need 10 million kroners or else the network is going to explode. And that's a bad strategy. Don't do that. Always prepare your stuff. And I've spent hours, days, weeks preparing for a presentation or a decision-making meeting or something like that. I mean, really put some effort into it. Don't just go in there and say, yeah, I need money. That won't work. And one really practical thing is to use the bluff method, which is the bottom line up first. Engineers have a tendency, me included, to write a long email stating the whole history back from 1999 and all the way down to the actual problem or the key essence in the bottom of the email. Put that up on top instead, like bottom line up first. So maybe you can use this when you get home, maybe not. I use a lot of demos when I talk to decision makers. I have a ransomware lab where I actively deploy ransomware in a live environment using real life switches, and everything is real. And it's a good way of getting your audience engaged and actually have them understand what it is you're talking about. Because decision makers, they don't know what ransomware really is. They see it in the news, but they've never seen it. But if you give a CFO a USB stick with virus on it, and you tell them to put it into a PC, and you see that virus spread across the network in real time, that has a different effect on people. And then you can start going into like network segmentation and disaster recovery and backup and restore and all these subjects that we all really want to talk about, right? But it takes some preparation before you can actually get there. And I have a lab, it's the one I'm presenting here. It's a honeypot lab, and I chose that because I know that Kramselund right here is doing some stuff on Kia, where he has an education he's pushing or something, where they're actually looking into honeypot labs right now. So I thought that would be a nice presentation to do here. So yeah, I'm gonna do this demo now. It's a live demo. I'm probably gonna F it up, you know how it is. I'm just gonna go to the last slide and say thank you, and just put it out there and say I'm hiring. So if any of you would like to talk at the social, then come up and have a chat with me. Okay, so the live demo. I'm just gonna change the source here. Let's see if this works. So far, so good. Okay, this is a demonstration I use when I use it as an icebreaker, a conversation starter, when I talk to developers or decision makers or executive directors, whatever. It's a way of visualizing the invisible threat that we all here know as like background noise on the internet, right? If you put something on the internet, it's going to get compromised, right? And we all know that. But it's very abstract for something that is not in tech to kind of actually understand that. And the way I go about this is that I bring a small PC. I have it right up here. It's just a 1 liter small form factor PC that is easier to carry around. And I set it up in meetings, and I say, so we're going to talk a bit about monitoring, for instance, right? Because we're all monitoring our logs for hackers and people that try to break into our networks. We have a SIEM system that alerts on it and everything. So what I do is I take this USB modem. This one is from Telenor. I think they're also here today. And I plug it into the PC while we are in the meeting. Sometimes I get one of the guys in the meeting to actually plug it in. And then I just start talking. And hopefully the graphs will update. Maybe not. Oh, here we go. And you will see some of the login attempts to this device. And this is real-time stuff, right? And this is something that people can understand and relate to. So if I'm pushing something like a SIEM system or a network segmentation or a monitoring system, or I need to talk to the developers about how they are monitoring their log files, this is how we would do it. I would just show this first, and we could have a chat about it. And then I will start asking questions like, so how are you guys going about this? Are you monitoring your log files? What if someone breaks into your network? Do you have segmentation in your network? Do you have backups in case something happens? Do you have two-factor authentication? I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go about all this and all the topics you can touch upon. But I've had a lot of luck in my careers doing practical demonstrations like these. And I have a bunch of them. Like the DDoS thing actually went into production because it's really relevant that you have it. We all have a dashboard or an email alert that is fired. But if you have a rotor light in the ceiling that blinks red when there's a DDoS attack, like that's something that you can react upon immediately, right? And the same with this. So I use these practical demonstrations when I talk to decision makers. And it's a way of not ending up as the lone cowboy, because you should always have management buy-in, or at least your newest boss says buy-in to the stuff that you're working on. And this is how I go about it. And I use these every day. I have a couple of colleagues here today, and they know that this is how I work. I bring all the technical stuff down to a level where everyone can understand it. And yeah, it works. So hopefully you guys can use this approach. Maybe not. Either way, I fulfilled my performance goal for this year because I presented at a conference, so that's good enough for me. Yeah, so that's basically it. And of course, if you want to stop an attack, you just pull out the USB modem or unplug the edge router, and then the attack stops, right? So that's basically it.
Oh, we immediately have a question. You waited for me to go all the way around, and then...
Henrik from security. So you talk about CM systems and all these fancy stuff, and you have all these graphs. How do you convince the decision makers to do the basic stuff? The most basic stuff that we all know about since the 90s.
Well, like patching?
Yeah, patching, VLANs, hardening systems before putting them into production, installing a firewall, limiting the services that are running not as root like they do in Cisco ACI, and
So this is back to the whole knowing your audience and preparing for a meeting that you go into, right? And if it was a meeting regarding segmentation, VLANs and stuff, then I would show the ransomware lab. I would physically take one of the computers and put them behind a firewall. And then I would execute the virus. I would say, see, all these computers over here, they got infected. This could be our data center. But this computer over here, it's still running. Everything is fine and dandy. And that's because we segmented it off the network with a firewall or a VLAN or whatever. So there's always an angle you can use to like drive your goal.
I'm Thomas. I don't work in networking. Maybe I should talk to you at the social. Anyway, you showed some demos that I thought were fun and are apparently effective for convincing, talking to decision makers. How did you figure out that these demos would be effective before you created them for talking with decision makers?
Well, the places I work, I don't treat them as workplaces. It's more like my personal playground. So I just do a lot of stuff. And something works, something doesn't. The CIO before, I had a demo where we were building a new headquarters with new networking closets and all that. And the closets were too small. There would be no room to change line cards. You couldn't change the PSUs. You didn't have any room in there except the rack. And that's a problem if you have an incident, right? Where you need to switch the PSU. So I did a presentation there for the entire department where I physically took a rack, put it into the room, and I told some of the, I think it was a project manager, I said, here's a PSU. Please switch it in the switch. And he had never done it before. So we went on back at the back of the rack, and he pulled out the PSU and put in the new one. He was like, easy. Anyone can do that. I said, yes. Then I took the rack, and I pushed it up against the wall. And I said, so, try doing it again. But now, everything is down, and you have all the managers breathing down your neck saying, the network is down, please fix it. Then what are you going to do? Then you have to unplug all the cables, you need to pull out the switch, and you need to change it on the spot. And now a 5-minute job is a 2-hour job. I mean, there's always an angle. Oh no. Not this guy. Yes, give him.
Hi, Rory from Google. If you could pass one piece of advice to yourself from 10 years ago, what would it be?
I think we're back to the Alan talk about your mistakes, right? I've made a lot of mistakes, both in terms of networking. I've brought down like entire regions of Denmark because I issued the wrong commands. I've had meetings with execs that went bad because I didn't prepare for them. But the main thing here is just go out and try stuff out because you are going to fail, but just learn from those mistakes. So I don't think I would change anything, really. Just learn from your mistakes. And sometimes it can be rough. Like I've had bad meetings where I've been like, ugh. But I learn from them, and that's basically what you can do, right?
Any other question? Okay, we would still have 10 minutes. Oh, there's one.
Do you like have this dashboard on GitHub or something? Or so if one would like to replicate it?
No, I don't. This is just a standard Elk stack where I'm ingesting some JSON in it based on a log file, and that's basically it. I mean, I can put it on GitHub. My GitHub handle is banana, so just find me there. It's true.
Okay, I see no more hands. Well, oh, every time I say that. There you go.
Just how do you actually get the, Oh, sorry, Martin from Åbon. So how do you get the time to actually do this? Because you gotta have a job that you have your job, your boss, somebody you have to convince that's breathing down your neck to do something, but you're sitting down and making a lab demo for a week before doing a presentation for him. How do you get the allowance to actually do this kind of work, to actually do a presentation to him, to make him buy something for you? It seems a little bit elaborate. How do you get the time to do that part?
Yeah, I do that at home mostly.
Perfect, thank you, that's a good answer.
Anyone else? Oh.
Oscar from New Day. Do you tend to prepare multiple scenarios, especially regarding the cost when presenting to the, or need approval?
Yes. I mean, when you have network segmentation as an example, you have like full application-centric segmentation, which will require a lot of time and effort. Then you have macro segmentation. I mean, I always prepare multiple scenarios. Sometimes I even record my sessions, and I have slides that are hidden that I can then unhide if I need them on the spot. And it's back to the preparation part, right? I tend to overdo this a lot. My presentations are always animated and quite big, and I know that I overdo it, but by really preparing for a meeting and going over all scenarios, and you ask yourself what kind of questions could this guy possibly ask me, and you just go over every scenario, then at least you're mentally prepared for it. But I always prepare, like, we can do A, B, C, A will cost this, B will cost this, C will cost this, and all these scenarios. And you can kind of construct your whole storyline by asking yourself, what will this guy ask me? So yeah. I don't know if that answers the question, but over-engineering, I do it a lot.
It kind of sounds like a rabbit hole you can really go down into and don't have actually time to do the work instead of just constant prepping.
That's why I do it at home often. Yeah.
Hi, Alexi from Finland. Do you prefer cat pictures or dog pictures in your presentations?
Cats. Hands down. No, they don't work. I don't know. Oh no.
Tom from Cloudflare. What's your favorite Taylor Swift album?
1989, without a doubt.
When do you think she's going to make a red version of that one?
Oh, I don't know. Soon, hopefully.
Do you want a red version of that one?
Of course. Yeah.
Well, yep, we seem to have reached the end. Normally when I say this, someone else raises his or her hand. But in any case, here's some chocolate to thank you for the nice presentation. This was really interesting.